Flosstube, I'm Amy. I am the Globetrotting Stitcher, and I'm happy to be back with you today. I hope that you are all doing well. We have been exceptionally busy the last couple of weeks. We've had a lot of stuff going on with family birthdays and Easter and Mother's Day, all the things. So we've been on the go quite a bit. And Gary and I have both been talking about how we're hoping here in the next couple of weeks to get a little bit of downtime just to chill out together because it's been exceptionally busy. One of the other things that has kept us busy when we are at home is I was telling you the last time we updated you that I was getting ready to put in a couple of new flower beds. And so did that. Gary came out and helped me with all the planting because there were quite a few flowers and things to put in. And I'm pretty satisfied with how it turned out. I'm liking how it's looking. And things seem to be going well. I've got a couple of coleus. So most of our yard, just because of where we live and the growth around us, we are primarily a shaded yard. We only have a few sunny spots. And so I rely a lot on things like coleus and begonias and hydrangeas. And some of my coleus are not doing well. I've actually had to replace one already that died, and another one looks like it's given up the ghost. So but other than that, most things are looking happy where they are. They're growing well and thriving. And so I'm excited about it. I'm going to try something new actually here in the next couple of weeks. And that is I'm going to put in drip irrigation. Over the last year or so, I've become a big fan and a regular watcher of the Garden Answer YouTube channel. And they use drip irrigation on just about everything. And it's such a time saver. As well as a water saver. And so I decided I had to try it for myself. So I'm experimenting. We'll see how it goes. But I think that's going to be convenient to have in place. I think other things going on, Gary and I are starting to gear up for StitchCon, which I can't believe that it is now, I think like a month away or even less than a month away. And so we're excited about that. Really looking forward to connecting with a whole bunch of stitchers. And so if you are going to be at StitchCon Weekend A, and please don't be shy. We'd love to meet you. So please feel free to come up and introduce yourselves. It would be great to meet some of the folks that watch our channel and just other folks who love stitchy goodness. So very much looking forward to that. I think one last update that I was wanting to share with you, just something kind of going on in our lives. Those of you that have been with our channel from the early days might remember that the first year we were filming, one of our dogs, Bear, had to have a pretty major surgery on his knee. And it was a fairly long recovery. It was a good recovery, but it was a long recovery. And at the time, the surgeon had told us, look, this is a problem that's particularly common for his breed. And it's particularly, when it does happen, it's very likely that that you'll have another leg that will have the same issue. And unfortunately, in the last week or so, we've been seeing a lot of limping and a lot of signals that maybe the other leg is going out. So if you think about it, please send prayers and good thoughts for Bear and his knee. We're really hoping that it was just a little bit too much excitement in chasing a bunny through the yard, and not a more serious problem, but fingers crossed. I think that's kind of it for life updates. So let's get into the stitching. I've got a couple of finishes to show you. One is a mostly FFO, and then the other is just a finish. So for the mostly FFO, I, as some of you know, recently finished the stitching on Silent Night by Country Cottage Needleworks. I stitched this on a piece of 32 count light blue Lugana. And I finished the stitching on this when I was on my way home from my trip to Nairobi in March. And so this is how it looks. There we go. So this, it's on there straight. Okay, good. So I say this is a mostly FFO because this sleigh, the finishing piece that I used, is something that I actually bought probably a year and a half ago before I had ever started stitching this design, and I knew that was what I wanted to use it for. And this greenery bit that's up here at the top actually came pre-attached as you see it on the sleigh. And so that's the part that I would say is the not quite FFO, because I think it's a little bit meh. So at some point before I actually put this up to display it at during the holidays, I'm going to do something with this. I'm not sure whether it'll be adding ribbon or more pine cones or more, branches or what have you. But I think it needs a little something to spruce it up, no pun intended. But at any rate, despite this not being exactly what I want, I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I like the mounting, and I did mount this on, I used the Priscilla Blaine technique with the magnets and washers to attach it to the sleigh, primarily because during the outside of the holiday season, when this is hanging on the wall, the sleigh hangs on a nail in our garage. And I definitely don't want to be putting my stitching out there in the garage where who knows what could happen to it, or, just dirt and dust and all of the things. So I'll just take this off for storage and put it in a drawer here in the house where it'll be safe, and then can easily reattach it with the magnets and washers when it's time to put this out for Christmas. But I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it's very pretty, and I'm looking forward to adding this to our decor this Christmas. So that is, Silent Night. There we go. My other finish was a surprise finish, and it was something that I was not expecting to get a finish, and then I did. And so that is my sampler. As many of you know, I've been working on Floralia Sampler by Chloe Designs. Stitched this on a piece of 36 count aqua Edinburgh linen. It is a monochromatic design, and I used DMC 3808. So the last time you saw this, I knew I was relatively close to a finish, but I still had quite a ways to go, kind of a big chunk in sort of the bottom center, bottom right of the design. And despite the fact that I didn't have I had some nights where I didn't get to the stitching until fairly late. And then I had quite a bit going on during part of the weekend that I was stitching on this. And so I didn't think there was any way I would get it done. And so I was quite surprised that I actually managed to. So let's see if I can show this to you without too much difficulty. So here it is, all finished up. So over the last couple of weeks, I finished stitching in the U. I put in this pretty curly Q floral thingy with the year. I stitched the Z and a bunch of these little floral motifs all through here. The Q, the P, the W, and then I finished stitching the cherub and the V. So, I mean, it was a pretty big chunk of stitching that got finished. I still can't quite believe that I managed to do all of that on limited stitching time, but I am really, really pleased with how it turned out. Oh, I also obviously finished the bottom border, which was close to being done the last time you saw this. So really pleased with how this turned out. I think it's really beautiful. It was a really fun piece to stitch, and I've started looking at some potential framing options for it. But I've got a couple of other things that are waiting in the wings to be framed and finished off. So this one will have to wait until later. So yeah, I'll pick out a frame for it, and then once it is framed and ready to display, I'll show it to you. But that is my finish, and I think it just turned out beautifully. All right. Honey, can I give this one to you?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you for your assistance.
Now we're going to have an uncomfortably long pause.
We are. It's wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about the whips. So the only whip of mine that I have to share with you is my travel stitching. This is Seasons Summer by Leela's Studio. I'm stitching it on a piece of 32 count vintage Sahara linen using the called for flosses. And the last time you saw this, I had made a lot of progress on it. I took it with me when I went to London. And so I had a good bit of time to stitch on it on planes and in airports and in various, kind of travel settings. And so I had finished quite a bit of the stitching in sort of the flowers and the leaves in the central area. And I had started putting in the letters along the bottom and started putting in the border along the bottom. So I actually ended up, I had to move the hoop during the last couple of weeks because I made enough progress. I've completely finished. Well, let me show it to you and then I'll talk about it. So I've now completely finished the right-hand side of the design. You'll see that I had to move the hoop over so I could work. No, I just finished the left-hand side, now working on the right. But I had to move the hoop over so I could get to other areas to stitch. So some of what you've seen before that I'd stitched over here is now hiding under the hoop. But what I did finish, or what I did in the last couple of weeks, I put in more of the letters, put in quite a bit of this bottom border here, and then started, working on, I've got quite a bit of this bird done on this side of the design, and I'm starting to work down into here. So I think good progress. Still a little ways to go, but I'm definitely well over halfway on this, and I'm really pleased with it. I did have to make a couple of changes to, while I'm using the called for flosses, I did have to make a couple of changes to how those are being used, because I found after I started stitching, the white does not show up on this fabric very well. And it's B5200, so you aren't going to get a whole lot brighter than that. So these flowers all in through here are actually supposed to be white, and I had to change them to yellow. And then to avoid having the piece be too yellow, I decided to stitch their yellow is called for down in this little penny border along the bottom. And I changed all the yellows to the lighter pink because it was just going to be overwhelmingly yellow. So anyway, I'm happy with where this is. I think I'm going to have a fair bit of travel stitching time over the next week or two. So it'll be interesting to see what I'm able to get done. But I think it's coming along really nicely. All right, the next WIP we have to share with you is Gary's. Gary is stitching on Captain America by Awesome Pattern Studio. That is an Etsy shop. And he is stitching on 16 count pewter Aida using the called for DMC. So Gary, I'll hand it over to you to talk about what you've done over the last couple of weeks.
Actually, I've done a lot. Trying to do this in order so I can put the pictures up right. So the last time you saw this, I hadn't really made a whole lot of progress on it because there was a problem in the upper shoulder there where it wasn't aligned. But we fixed that from the last video. You see that we fixed that. And then this is what I've been able to do since then. I don't know how much more I'm going to be able to do coming up, but I'd really like to finish page 2 because there's a couple of other pieces I want to work on. They're just one color, so I want to work on those, and they're really unique pieces, some Ukrainian designs. Anyway, so that's where I am on Captain America. The globe is in the exact same condition it was in the last time. However, I did edit quite a few wedding pictures, if that really matters. Anyway, so that's where I am.
Looks good. And Gary also ended up needing to move the Q snap for this design. So there was a lot of Q snap and frame moving over the last couple of weeks as a signal of the progress we've made. Okay. The last thing I have to show you today is a new start, and this is one that I had told you I was going to be starting. So because I had the big finish on Royal Holiday several weeks ago, I got to start a new piece in my Fancy Lady section of my rotation. I am stitching Celtic Winter by Lavender and Lace. I am stitching on a piece of 32 count Haunted Belfast linen by Picture This Plus. And I don't know if it's going to be possible to capture just how beautiful this piece of fabric is. It is a stunning, stunning piece of fabric. It's lovely to stitch on. And for this design, I'm doing, so the original design is like a white and cream and gold tones, and it's just the woman in the dress. And that I'm doing a pretty significant conversion where I'm stitching it. There is a bit of white in the dress, but it's going to be blues and silvers and whites. And the woman is going to have a cloak and a cape. Yeah. A cloak. Anyway, so this is my start on Celtic Winter. As I said, gorgeous piece of fabric. And when I stitched, some of you might remember I stitched Celtic Autumn a couple of years ago. And at that time, I was talking about how these medallions that run down each side of the design are really, they're really time intensive stitching because it's a lot of different colors and it's just small sections of stitches that all the way through the motif. And then you have all the different beads. And so it's really time intensive stitching. But I think it's worth it. And so this is my start. So as you can see, I've got one medallion totally finished. I've started putting in the letters of winter. So this is the W, and then I'm moving my way across. And then there's these different rows of beads and stitches across the top here that I'm working on. But I'm really pleased with how it's turning out so far. It's been very enjoyable to work on this week. And I think this one is just going to be really, really beautiful. So looking forward to seeing this continue to develop over the next several of months. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Okay. I think that's kind of it for us. It's a quick video today, so we'll wrap up by telling you what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to put in a little bit more time on Celtic Winter before I put it away, and then I will be switching out to my seasonal design. So I'll be spending a week on Harvest Delivery by Plum Street Samplers. Really looking forward to getting back to that. It's been true comfort stitching, and I've just enjoyed it so much. So I'll see what I can accomplish there. After that, I am going to be stitching for a week on my full coverage piece, which is Rose Trellisin by Heaven and Earth Designs. So I'm looking forward to working on that as well. As I said, I will be working on my travel stitching. So the season's Summer by Leela Studio. And I don't know if I'll be able to get a finish, but I think I can get relatively close to a finish in the next couple of weeks. And then Gary will, as he's got time, plug away on Captain America. So yeah, I think that kind of does it for us. We hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. It helps us in YouTube's algorithm and helps to let other people know about the videos that we are making. We always enjoy reading your comments and responding to those as best we can. So please feel free to leave a comment. If you're not a subscriber, I hope you will subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notifications when we post new videos. You can send us an email to globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com. You're also welcome to follow me between videos on Instagram, where you can see updates of the things I'm working on. My Instagram name is @globetrotting_stitcher, and I'll include that in the description box below. So with that being said, I hope that you all are doing well, and we will look forward to seeing you again very soon. Happy stitching. Bye-bye.